and the village's board of trustees after multiple members did not attend tonight's meeting.
I'm about to address the things as supervisor. There will be no comments. There will be anything that is beneath.
Tiffany Henyard's political world is crumbling, and this time it's more than just rumors and behind-the-scenes whispers. Explosive footage, allegedly leaked by her own team, has intensified the already severe turmoil surrounding her career. The video has sparked speculation that some of her closest allies are now turning against her, leaving her in a state of panic. Whether this is karma or a calculated effort to overthrow her, one thing is undeniable. Her days of acting untouchable are numbered. Once regarded as the self-proclaimed Queen of Dalton, Henyard's grip on power is now a controversial spectacle, with scandals following her at every turn. Recently, Henyard stoked the crisis further with decisions that seemed designed to invite criticism rather than resolve the tension. After a board of trustees meeting was canceled due to lack of attendance, Henyard pressed forward with key decisions that blindsided the town. In the absence of the board, she appointed a new village administrator and attorney, moves many saw as a way to sidestep opposition and consolidate her dwindling power. This defiant, some would argue reckless, leadership approach has raised alarms across the community as her once steady control over Dalton seems to erode daily. The fallout came swiftly. The Illinois Attorney General's office condemned Dalton for violating the Open Meetings Act on multiple occasions in June and July, and launched an investigation into Henyard's administration. Locals have grown increasingly vocal in their frustration, accusing her of running the village like a fortress. Public meetings now take place behind locked doors, leaving many in Dalton feeling excluded from the very processes meant to represent them. Henyard has defended these drastic security measures, citing a sarcastic blue marker letter sent to her mother's house calling her and her mother losers. Though the letter was unprofessional and mean-spirited, it hardly posed a credible threat. Nevertheless, Henyard used it as justification to increase security around Village Hall, leading some to believe the heightened measures are more about maintaining control than ensuring safety. Critics argue that her focus on security is simply a cover for increasing paranoia and desperation. The disarray within Dalton's administration continues to spiral, with residents growing weary of Henyard's chaotic leadership. Attendance at recent public meetings has dwindled to fewer than 20 people, reflecting the growing disillusionment with her leadership style. Many feel she's prioritizing spectacle over meaningful governance, and instead of reassessing her approach, Henyard seems intent on diving deeper into the drama. Her latest controversial move, appointing a new village administrator and attorney, has been viewed by critics as an attempt to replace potential challengers with loyalists who will safeguard her crumbling regime. The appointment of Keith Freeman, once Henyard's right-hand man and rumored to know all of her secrets, has raised further questions. Many believe Freeman was brought back to act as a shield against the mounting legal and political pressure surrounding her. While Henyard may be reshuffling her inner circle in an attempt to regain control, critics view this as a desperate last-ditch effort to hold on to power. What's most puzzling about Henyard's situation is her unrelenting defiance in the face of increasing legal and public pressure. Despite the Attorney General condemning Dalton for clear violations of transparency laws, Henyard has doubled down on her controversial approach to governance. Rather than opting for a more cautious strategy, she has alienated the public even further, embracing a style of leadership that leaves little room for collaboration or trust. Once hopeful, Dalton residents are now left to contend with the fallout from her erratic behavior. The town remains mired in financial and administrative turmoil, with allegations of misuse of taxpayer funds and ongoing legal challenges. Henyard's tenure has become a series of scandals at every turn, with her increasingly dramatic decisions only adding fuel to the fire. Despite her efforts to shore up support through controversial moves, the growing legal and public discontent threatens to end her reign abruptly. Whether she can survive the mounting pressure, or if the people of Dalton will demand a change, remains uncertain. But one thing is clear. Her once ironclad grasp on power is slipping fast.
10 days of notice. 10 days of notice to the public. Certainly notice to the mayor. You know what they did?
Tiffany Henyard's once solid grip on power continues to deteriorate as scandals, questionable decisions, and internal betrayals engulf her leadership in Dalton. Once a figure of widespread support, Henyard's authority has sharply declined, with her increasingly desperate efforts to maintain control raising more skepticism than garnering genuine backing. Her recent attempts to push through last-minute appointments to consolidate power have only fueled the turmoil, with interim mayor Jason House declaring these decisions invalid, further eroding her already fragile position. House bluntly stated that the lack of a quorum during the meeting rendered all actions illegal, no matter Henyard's insistence otherwise. Despite this blow, Henyard doubled down on her defense, accusing critics of fabricating drama and even alleging that some audience members were planted to stir conflict. However, the cracks in her leadership are unmistakable. Her inner circle continues to shrink, and former allies like Keith Freeman are now caught in the unraveling of her administration. Freeman, once a trusted confidant and village administrator, has found himself at the center of controversy and legal peril. As rumors swirl that he may be cooperating with the FBI, Henyard's relationship with Freeman soured. At one point, she allegedly attempted to fire Freeman after suspecting him of turning against her, sparking a dramatic fallout between the two. Freeman's legal troubles have only added to the chaos. He faces allegations of unlawfully retaliating against workers he allegedly dismissed for not supporting Henyard, as well as a federal indictment for bankruptcy fraud, accused of concealing assets and misrepresenting his income. Despite their shared history of bending the rules, Henyard wasted no time distancing herself from Freeman, hoping to sever ties before their association could further tarnish her already precarious position. Freeman's growing legal woes have become a lightning rod for criticism, with accusations of misconduct that hindered township operations. He has faced increasing backlash within the administration, alongside lawsuits alleging retaliatory firings in both Dalton and Thoron Township. When Henyard attempted to remove Freeman from his role within the township, the Board of Trustees pushed back. Trustee Chris Gonzalez pointed out that no official documentation had been presented regarding Freeman's firing or promotion, rendering any such action unlawful. Gonzalez made it clear that any legitimate personnel changes would require board approval, further underscoring the disorganized and overreaching nature of Henyard's governance. Even though Freeman had been a loyal ally, Henyard discarded him once he became a liability, further isolating herself in the process. The spectacle of Freeman's bankruptcy fraud charges and his alleged efforts to conceal assets has only added to the embarrassment surrounding Henyard's administration. Coupled with her high-profile stunts, like bolstering security at Village, haul over a sarcastic letter, her leadership has done little to inspire confidence. The letter, which Henyard used to justify extreme security measures, was seen as a weak excuse, symbolizing the paranoia consuming her and the growing divide between her and the community she once claimed to champion. As federal investigators close in, Henyard's fragile hold on power continues to unravel. Her actions now appear driven by a mix of desperation and denial as she reshuffles her administration and tightens control, only for these moves to backfire and further destabilize the already volatile political climate in Dalton. In distancing herself from Freeman, Henyard likely hoped to avoid the fallout from his mounting legal issues and sidestep deeper scrutiny of her own role in his misconduct. However, her failure to secure the backing of the Board of Trustees or maintain loyalty among her closest allies has left her looking vulnerable and disorganized. Freeman's downfall, rather than diverting attention away from Henyard, has only reinforced the public perception of a leadership steeped in controversy and self-preservation. As Dalton faces an uncertain future, residents are left grappling with the fallout of an administration mired in infighting, scandal, and corruption. Once a figure of authority, Henyard now stands increasingly isolated as legal and political pressures mount, with allies like Freeman tarnished by scandal and internal dissent threatening to fracture her remaining support. Henyard's efforts to weather the storm appear increasingly futile. The question remains whether she can survive this latest wave of challenges, or if her troubled tenure will soon reach its inevitable conclusion.
That's correct. We spoke with one of the plaintiffs who says that she was fired for not being a yes man, for not.
Tiffany Henyard's once firm grip on power is quickly unraveling, as scandals, questionable decisions, and internal betrayals continue to plague her leadership in Dalton and Theron Township. Despite her efforts to maintain control, ranging from severing ties with former allies to employing dubious legal tactics, cracks in her administration are becoming increasingly apparent. One of the most glaring signs of her instability is the ongoing power struggle with Keith Freeman, the village administrator. Despite Henyard's relentless attempts to oust him, Freeman remains in his position, effectively defying her efforts to dismiss him. Unlike many employees she's terminated in the past, Freeman appears to be on solid ground, possibly due to mounting evidence of Henyard's questionable practices. Freeman's continued role suggests that he may possess significant information, potentially evidence of Henyard's alleged corruption, which has made him a powerful figure in the unfolding drama. Adding fuel to the fire, 3 former employees have filed lawsuits against Henyard for wrongful termination, further threatening to undermine her already fragile leadership. Amid these legal battles, rumors have circulated suggesting Freeman may be cooperating with federal investigators, with some speculating he could possess concrete evidence of Henyard's misconduct. This has led many to believe that Henyard's push to dismiss Freeman is not due to his job performance or insubordination, but rather out of fear that his cooperation with authorities could expose her corruption. Henyard reportedly tried to remove Freeman hastily, but her plans were thwarted when the Board of Trustees reaffirmed their support for him. Freeman's continued presence in the administration has put Henyard at a crossroads, unable to regain control of a situation spiraling beyond her reach. Tensions between the two escalated during a recent meeting when Henyard attempted to appoint replacements for key positions without proper board approval. This controversial move was widely seen as another desperate attempt to consolidate power amid growing dissent. With Freeman retaining his position for now and the board backing him, Henyard's power struggle with him shows no sign of abating. Despite the mounting opposition, Henyard has remained defiant, recently running a town meeting as though the absence of the Board of Trustees was inconsequential. This unilateral approach mirrors previous instances in which Henyard disregarded standard protocols and procedures, sidelining checks and balances within her administration. These actions have generated increasing frustration from the board, residents, and legal observers, further cementing her reputation as an embattled leader determined to cling to power by any means necessary. Henyard's leadership has increasingly been marked by an authoritarian style, one that disregards institutional norms and actively retaliates against those who challenge her authority. The lawsuits filed by former employees paint a damning picture of a leader who has failed to create a fair and equitable workplace, instead using her position to punish those who did not align with her agenda. These legal challenges have added another layer of complexity to Henyard's already embattled administration, with growing evidence suggesting a pattern of misconduct that extends beyond Freeman's alleged knowledge of her dealings. Freeman's continued presence within the administration is a thorn in Henyard's side, especially amid rumors that he may be cooperating with federal investigators. Speculation continues to swirl that his removal may have less to do with his job performance and more to do with preventing the exposure of Henyard's corruption. Freeman's possession of evidence against Henyard could be a game changer, hinting at deeper scandals that may yet come to light. Henyard's power struggle with Freeman highlights the increasingly precarious nature of her leadership. Despite her attempts to sideline the board and dictate terms unilaterally, Henyard faces growing opposition on multiple fronts. Her actions, including her controversial appointments without board approval, have only served to alienate her from those who once supported her. reinforcing the image of a leader losing control and resorting to desperate tactics to maintain a semblance of authority. At a recent public meeting, Henyard dismissed the board's rejection of her appointments by dramatically blaming the controversy on a massive smear campaign aimed at ruining her reputation. "This is all just a smear campaign," Henyard asserted, claiming that the criticism was part of a larger conspiracy against her. Her fiery defense, however, did little to sway the residents of Dalton, who are increasingly weary of her antics. One brave attendee spoke out, stating, "This isn't a question. This is me making my statement. If you don't want to hear this, there's the door. This is about your supermayor becoming too